Ashtar, Earth is as most souls want it to be. My dearest and beloved Earth brothers and sisters, this is Ashtar speaking. I greet you, and consider you to be part of me, and I consider you to be amazing examples of Source's grace and perseverance and light. In other words, I love you, and you have all my respect, for persevering and holding on to grace and light in the midst of such darkness. To those galactics who have eyes to see, what you are doing is inspirational, and is a great service. You are also teaching the rest of us how to stand steadfastly, no matter what the rest of the world thinks of you. Us galactics aren't used to being in a situation where most people around us think we are crazy or deluded, and that's certainly an area where you are more experienced, and where we can learn from you and where we can look to you for inspiration. I respect you enough that today I am going to present you with what I think is a high and challenging perspective. I trust you to be able to handle it. My goal for this message is to help you transcend victim consciousness, and to help you align more with your soul. So, every day I hear Earth people asking for intervention or help. Now, we actually are doing lots of subtle and covert interventions. Every single one of you would have a much worse life right now, or would be dead, if we weren't doing anything. That said, I can certainly understand the perspective that we are not doing enough and that we should intervene, or land pretty much today. Other Pleiadians have pointed out to me in discussions that if my literal children were on Earth right now living a typical Earth life, that at least part of me would want to intervene immediately. And yes, that is true, but you can't make policy based on that. Still, I get that argument, and I very much do consider the perspective to be entirely valid that we should intervene, or land as quickly as possible. That said, let me share an alternative perspective, the one that I am often choosing to operate out of. I frequently use other perspectives too, such as the perspective that if we intervene it may cause long-term instability, but today let us talk about one particular perspective. The perspective is, all of creation is one big and free playground for souls, and it is largely as it should be. Now yes, there are a few asterisks here. There was a reincarnation trap on Earth that has been dismantled. And beings that are disrupting the playground so much that very many others can't have the experiences they want, can in exceptional circumstances get unmade and have their energy reabsorbed into Source. Still, creation is a playground for souls, and you are primarily a soul that has had many incarnations. This current incarnation is one that you will leave behind in a relative blink of an eye, but your soul is old indeed. What do souls want? Well, most souls primarily desire experiences and soul growth. To them, pleasure and comfort and love and unity are nice, and being in pain, or being oppressed, or starving to death are equally nice. They're all just equally valid and valuable experiences. So creation is a playground. Souls can incarnate wherever they wish, more or less. Souls themselves cannot be harmed, except for being unmade in rare situations, if they're exceptionally disruptive. And what lower selves would see as painful and undesirable experiences are seen by souls as just as valid as valuable as what you would see as happy and desirable experiences. So the galaxy is in some place that has some light civilizations that are good and nice and desirable, and some planets that produce bad outcomes and undesirable pain and depression. From my perspective, it's one huge playground. And you have some areas such as the Pleiades that provide one kind of experience, and some areas such as Earth that currently provide another kind of experience. The playground has pleasant and fun rides, and the playground has more challenging and demanding rides. So on a fundamental, big picture level, if we put aside some issues that do need to be addressed, and some management that does need to happen, reality is one big playground. Reality really is as it should be. So even if your lower self has a painful life, even if things are hard for your lower self, there's no need for your lower self to go into victim consciousness. After all, most of you, as souls, chose to incarnate on Earth. And every single soul is consenting to remaining on Earth every single day. because if you as a soul no longer wish to be on Earth, then it is very easy for you to arrange that your lower self has a heart attack, or gets hit by a car, and dies. So yes, Earth is a challenging ride, but it's one that you, in the sense of your soul, most likely signed up for, and it's one that you, in the sense of your soul, keep consenting to every single day. So while from one perspective you may be a victim, it's also true that from this higher perspective you aren't a victim. Now sure, don't bulldoze the parts of you that are in pain, but at the same time it is valid to be able to see this higher perspective too. Now, it's entirely possible that your conscious mind isn't aligned with what your soul wants. It's entirely possible that your conscious mind currently is in resistance to pain. But then that's simply something to work on, because whether your conscious mind likes it or not, your soul, and not your conscious mind, is in the driver's seat for your life to a large extent. So in fact, us galactics are not being callous. We are doing what Source wants us to do, and Source wants us to balance helping liberate humanity with giving the souls of Earth what they want in the present moment. We are listening to what the souls of Earth say every single day, and we are giving you exactly what you want, and the simple truth is that most people on Earth are still asleep, and most of those souls keep asking us for more time to wake up, because they're hoping that they too can join New Earth if they get a bit more time to wake up. Plus they're currently attaining a lot of soul growth. So us galactics are doing exactly what most souls on Earth want us to do. It's just that what souls want is primarily experiences and soul growth, and this current time is such a unique and amazing opportunity for growth, and for unique experiences, that most souls don't want it to end yet. They want it to last a little longer. Not a huge while longer, but a little longer. What is happening on Earth is literally what the majority of souls are asking for. Now yes, your lower self might be in pain, but remember that the true you, your soul, most likely willingly chose to incarnate in an obviously painful world. And your soul every day is consenting to being here, which is confirmed by you still being alive. So if you want to blame anyone for your pain, I guess you could blame your own soul. But then that doesn't make a lot of sense, because it's more accurate to think of yourself as your soul rather than think of yourself as your lower self. Personally, I would advise you to align with your soul, and I would stop labeling pain as bad and wrong. It's understandable to not enjoy pain, but labeling it as bad and wrong and as something that needs to be fixed is a form of resistance. And resistance to pain creates suffering. So there is nothing wrong with the situation on Earth. What is happening on Earth is literally what the majority of souls are asking for. And if your lower self isn't happy with the life it is experiencing, well, your soul to a large extent determines what manifests in your life. If your life sucks, quite likely that is because your lower self hasn't yet let go of certain resistances, or learned certain lessons yet. Now admittedly, it could be the case that even your soul would prefer that the bad guys get arrested today, and that us galactics would land today. That is possible. Some people's souls genuinely do feel that way. It's just that they're not the majority, and currently us galactics are listening to the majority of souls who want that to happen but don't want that to happen quite yet. It has been said that you are incredibly powerful. And you are so long as you don't limit the definition of you to just your rational mind. Your soul is very powerful, and if you align your lower self to your soul, then you are even greater indeed. The group of Earth human souls is even more powerful. Powerful enough, in fact, that Earth humanity, as a collective, has quite a lot of influence on what manifests. And indeed, the world that you see around you every day is pretty much the world that the majority of Earth human souls want to live in order to learn lessons and have experiences. You can blame the reptilians, you can blame the dark controllers, you can blame greed and lack of consciousness, but really, the world is approximately as most Earth human souls want it to be. If most Earth human souls wanted mass arrests right now, it would probably happen quite quickly. Us galactics would seriously consider intervening if that's what most Earth souls wanted, but most likely we wouldn't even have to do that, because you would be doing it yourselves very quickly. Now to be clear, most Earth souls do want to have mass arrests, and the creation of a wonderful new Earth, or they want to leave Earth and continue their lessons elsewhere. They just don't want that to happen quite yet. It's going to happen, people's souls just want a bit more time. Furthermore, Source and us positive galactics also want the situation on Earth to end in the not-too-distant future, so that is going to happen. It's not our primary consideration, but in some ways the rest of the galaxy can't move forward until Earth is liberated. Plus, we recognize that, while star seeds and light workers are a minority on Earth, they still very much matter, and in fact we owe them a great deal, so we're not going to ignore their wishes forever. In the not-too-distant future, you really will see New Earth. Now, in the past, messages along these lines have sometimes been accused of moral relativism. Or in other words, people have sometimes said that messages are bad if they're not deeply invested in stopping evil. To that, I would ask you to reflect if you are in resistance to pain in either yourself or others. And if you are, well, resistance to pain creates suffering. Now, your soul might in the present desire to have pleasant experiences, or to meet your galactic family, but that's not the same as labeling pain as a bad or invalid experience. Your soul isn't in resistance to pain in either yourself or others. To your soul, it's all just experiences. Also, in the very distant past, Source has experimented with situations where there was zero evil. And it was boring, and both Source and those souls desired more experiences, and more excitement, and more contrast and catalysts. Hence, being started experimenting with losing their felt connection to Source and to others, and soul loneliness and evil were created. Still, I would not condemn evil. In fact, I would even drop the concept of evil entirely, and just talk about people who are currently behaving destructively and whom innocents need to be protected against. After all, pretty much everyone has had incarnations where they were good and incarnations where they were evil. So just because someone right now is in a good incarnation, why does that make them superior to someone who right now is in an evil incarnation? If you condemn evil, you condemn yourself, for you have been evil. And just because your evil was in a past life, doesn't make you superior to someone who is currently living a life where they are evil. You're not superior to them, you just happen to be in a moment in time right now where you're being good and they're being evil. But in another time, they were good and you were evil, and the pain you caused wasn't any less real just because that happens to be in the past right now. Now yes, it is entirely fine to prohibit people from hurting others. It is also a good idea to actively stop destructive people from harming innocents. I completely agree with those things. And yes, aligning with the light is a much preferable path to being destructive, for several reasons. I would advise others to align with the light. However, once we agree that people shouldn't hurt others and that innocents should be protected, once we agree on that, it doesn't actually help to judge evil people. The judging other people part, the part where you label them as bad, doesn't contribute anything. You can just agree that people shouldn't hurt others and that innocents should be protected without judging evil people. I get that most likely you have been hurt in this life by evil people, and again I fully agree that they should be stopped from hurting other people. Yet, ultimately the solution to the pain of having been hurt by evil people is to look inwards at your own pain, and at your own hurt inner parts. And as the last part of this message, consider the following metaphor. Imagine that you are the mouth of a man named Tom. In this metaphor, you, as the mouth, represents your conscious mind, and the man named Tom represents your soul. In this metaphor, sweet food represents love and pleasant experiences. Non-sweet food represents challenging or painful experiences. Suppose that you, as the mouth, are experiencing that non-sweet food just randomly keeps appearing in you, the mouth, and you really don't like it. You prefer sweet food, which sometimes appears in you, but not nearly as often as you want. You as the mouth try various things, and some of those things help a bit, yet you keep getting less sweet food than you want. So you get upset, and you label the current situation as being wrong and bad. You ask us Pleiadians to fix this unacceptable situation. We take a look, And we observe that Tom, your soul in this metaphor, is choosing to currently eat mostly non-sweet foods, along with some sweet foods. And curiously, the mouth, your conscious mind in this metaphor, doesn't understand that food doesn't just randomly appear in it, but that in fact Tom is actively putting mostly non-sweet food into the mouth. Which is a valid choice. There are health benefits to be gained this way. Painful experiences can lead to soul growth. So, should we as galactics intervene right now, and make sure that more sweet food gets put into Tom's mouth? No. Tom is making the understandable free will choice to currently eat not a lot of sweet food, for health benefits. No need for us to kick in the door and force sweet food down Tom's throat, just to please Tom's mouth. We would advise Tom's mouth to realize that it is part of a greater whole. Now, are you powerless here, as the mouth? No, as the mouth you can certainly ask Tom for a sweet peach, you can certainly ask, or pray for certain things to happen. You can use manifestation techniques. And if you ask for something, you might get it. But then again, if you ask for a peach, Tom, your soul, might decide to eat broccoli anyway. Which is why there isn't a prayer, or a manifestation technique, that leads to results for everyone always, even though prayer or manifestation techniques work very well sometimes. If you keep being confronted with a certain unpleasant reality, then that isn't your soul torturing you. That's just your soul repeatedly presenting you with an opportunity to release resistance, or heal, or learn a lesson. Apparently you haven't yet released resistance, or learned your lesson yet, which is why the challenging situation keeps coming back. If you release resistance, and heal, and learn your lessons, then more pleasant things will start manifesting in your reality. And don't be too quick to say that you've learned all your Earth lessons already. Almost no physically incarnated Earth human has fully learned all their lessons. If you feel that you have learned all your lessons already, feel free to teleport up to the New Jerusalem, and we'll happily welcome you. If you can't, then there are still lessons that you can learn and growth you can achieve. And while I get that you may be tired, or struggling, this is still a truly unique and exceptionally favorable time to learn lessons and achieve soul growth. Which is why most Earth souls want this current situation to go on for just a bit longer. With all this said, you will still be free. Your future is still incredibly bright and filled with light and grace and ease and connection and warmth. You are still going to be meeting us in the not-too-distant future. None of those things have changed, and none of those things will change. Even if most Earth souls keep asking for more 3D time, at some point in the not-too-distant future their time will be up, and the new Earth era will arrive that you and us galactics have been waiting for. And our meeting will be glorious indeed. And personally I can't wait to meet you. I leave you today with all my love and respect. We are one, Ashtar. The Elders, personal accountability. Do you believe in taking personal accountability for your actions? Do you accept and are responsible for all you do? You see, this is very important to determine. What do you accept and what do you abdicate in this way? Many want to believe they can go through life making choices that are in their own best interest, but not in the best interest of the one their choice would take away from. In other words, never do anything that would adversely affect another. Make that your mantra this and each day. Make that the main objective in each thing you move to enact and do. If you gain personally while another person is diminished because of your choices, how can that be what is best to do? How does this make you feel? Do you recall hearing "do unto others as you want others to do unto you"? Be accountable, there's a reason for that. It is that your choices will follow you from this life to the next one. Although you may believe one thing, what is will still be. You see, there is a degree of reckoning that must occur from what you do. Doing and being are significant things. Life, albeit, is significant. And you must be the steward of your actions. All of them. This understanding is fundamental and key. What is self-accountability? Do you know? Always move to your heart and see how it feels to consider something that you question. If it is questioned, ask for inner guidance. Seek input from your soul. Here's what the elders share. It is not choosing this or that over the other. It is merely an inner craving for more to be understood. To a degree, it is resuming the accountability that may have been abdicated earlier. It is knowing that you cannot surrender who you are, and the intrinsic and innate desire to take responsibility for your choices and actions. It is recognizing this in a bigger way than some are willing to do today. Excerpt from Given in Love Chapter 2. Now surrender. Now consider surrendering. Consider now what this one step might offer. Consider surrendering what is newly recognized that need not be. What does it mean to surrender? And what does it mean to release beliefs that might prevent the means of surrender from occurring? Surrender is a big thing and something you might contemplate on as you seek all that might in this way be. Source: arrayofflight.com. The other videos are in the English video playlist. Help me spread the light. Click like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.